This is the regular meeting of the Darien, Connecticut Parks and Recreation Commission on Wednesday, February 25th, 2026, calling the meeting to order. First order of business is the minutes from our January 21st, 2026 meeting. Does anybody have any changes, corrections, additions, clarifications? Can I get a motion to approve them as presented? Ed proposed, Mary Louise second. All in favor? Okay. None opposed? That is done. Okay. Do we have any public comment? Adele, that would only be you. There's nobody else.
Not today. Well, speak.
I don't.
No.
There you go. No.
Okay, no, you're good? Okay.
We're good. We continue to follow the Park and Rec budget as it progresses.
And will speak up for us at all opportunities.
Next opportunity, I guess, is March 17th.
Or yes. Okay, that is that. Okay. What? Hi, Tim. So we don't have our Little League person here yet, or Chris, so hopefully they are en route. So let's skip over. We had spoken last month about dissolving our advisory group that was responsible for sort of overseeing, invasives, tree planting plans, et cetera. Also oversees the Cherry Lawn Gardeners, feeling that based on kind of everything with the commission right now that we can handle any needs of the group, and the feeling that Jen and Sandy and the staff have a really good handle on all of those matters. So, we left that and then thought that we would just vote on it this one. So is there any discussion? Mary Louise?
The only thing I recommend is moving the tour from the fall to the spring, which would work better in terms of IDing where plantings should go in, et cetera, prior to us getting the money in July.
I was actually going to be, because we need to move the budget process up, and I think I was looking at
You
June,
were looking at June anyway.
June or July, so that'll be,
I think
it'll
that-
tie in,
That's a better way to handle it.
so that I can start the process in September
Right.
and come to you in October, and then go in November, so.
Okay, so probably either a March or April meeting at the latest.
Probably April we should. set
April
the
meeting, we
date.
should set the date.
Or May, April, May.
Okay. And Mary Louise, we should have a report, I think it's in our rules, from the Cherry Lawn Gardens.
Correct.
Which is over
We have
at least
a new
once a year.
president. Contracts have gone out, and you should have gotten probably most of them back.
I know they went out, I don't.
When do they due back by?
Must be the beginning of April.
Okay, so maybe also for the April meeting,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
have a report from the Cherry Lawn Gardeners, kind of a debrief from last year, if you had any issues. And then where you stand, how many people stayed, how many spots opened up,
Correct.
all of that.
Hopefully there'll be a spot for you.
I think that designer may not.
We lost somebody here.
Who's the new president, if you don't mind me asking?
Pardon?
Who's the new president?
Oh, Beth Aguabi. She and her husband both work the plot. They're big into dahlias. I think they have about 200 of them.
Wow.
But they're very enthusiastic,
Okay,
so that's good. And of course, Dorothy is gonna stay as a gardener.
okay.
Okay, so why don't we pencil that for April as well?
Okay.
So we should do that as well. Any other questions or comments on this? So if I could get a motion to dissolve the Arboreal and Landscaping Enhancement Advisory Group. Mary Louise? Jim second, all in favor? Anybody opposed? No, I think that was unanimous. Okay. Okay, Chris is here and John is here, so we'll go back to that item, and this is regarding the request for the Little League to display the banners at McGuan Field for the 2026 season. Everybody will recall, we approved it last year for the 2025 season. Chris worked very closely with the Little League to have banners that we thought would look good and present well, and watched out for the maintenance and stuff. But maybe between the two of you, you can just sort of recap, how many were sold last year, and, any issues, complaints, just sort of kind of give us a
Sure.
recap.
I mean,
John, you could
yeah.
probably, maybe just, for the record, say your name and your address and.
Sure. John Butler, 9 Apple Tree Lane, Darien, president of Darien Little League.
Perfect. Can you want to pull a chair up? That's
I can just say John and everybody at DLL couldn't have been easier to work with, and I think the end product was great. I think the ads look fantastic. I think you guys did a great job selling them. I think you were more than easy to work with when it came to giving us the list of who was going to be there, staying within the guidelines where we said no guns and I think alcohol was the limits. But I think everything.
Very stringent.
Yeah, we it's
I think we left it open for anything else. We just did.
Yeah. But they all look fantastic. So I'll let you let us know how it worked on your side and thoughts for this year.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you. Thanks, Chris. And Chris was super easy to work with. You all made it very easy on us. And we had the benefit of having a template with what's going on with the high school, so we knew kind of where to go for sharp looking banners. And kind of, people were helpful around town in terms of, figuring out how to put them up and how to get them sold and all of that. So we had a lot of support in doing it. Danielle Passione, who's on the DLL board, took the lead in terms of arranging for for finding the sponsors who were willing to put their pay us money to put up their signage, and then actually getting the signs printed, arranging for them to be installed, arranging for them to be taken down at the end of the season, which worked out great, and we've got them stored so we can use them multiple years. And we sold around 12 this year, and we didn't, that was intentional. I think we wanted to go a little slowly to begin with. And so that was enough to cover at McGuan, the upper field, the one that's closest to the Norton Fire Department, to sort of cover most of the outfield without it seeming overwhelming. And there was some spacing in between, and we had some small, bunting in between as well, just to create like a nice overall look. And then we had the center of it, it's just a Darien Little League. One that we had for ourselves just to create some symmetry. And then on the back side, wherever it was visible, we also had like a DLL poster, so you weren't seeing the back of the banners if you were sitting in the seating where it was visible. It all was very smooth. We got them printed, we got them up in time, and did not hear a single complaint to this day. Knock wood. We did get a lot of positive feedback that it looked sharp, that it was, a good addition, pun intended, to what was there, and that it actually helped sort of, mitigate the sort of the metal fencing. So we were encouraged. We think it's great. We'd love to do it again this year. Last year we didn't make a lot of money off of it because most of the money the first year goes to printing the banners, and then it becomes an annuity thereafter. And then, but we have now 19 folks who want to put up, who want to sponsor banners. So that would be, we'd need a couple more to sort of make it make sense, but we'll get those if we get permission. And that would be enough to have the lower field, Lower McGuan also have the outfield covered, and the desire is to have the softball challenger field also, when I say covered, just, a few spaced out in a symmetrical way, mimicking what we had at McGuan.
John, when you sell these, do you sell them by individual field or you sell them as a package? The advertiser buys all 3 fields? or?
So
how does that work?
we haven't, it's just an interesting question. We've been thinking about it as just one ad per McGuan. And it's interesting, some people have, some very specific guidelines on what they're willing to do as a business in terms of, having competing banners, et cetera. But thus far, we haven't duplicated them, but we could have two on, one on Challenger and one on McGuan Upper. I think ideally we'd have like 36, we think we can get 36 in total. And if we had 36 distinct businesses, that would probably be optimal from our vantage point. And the only other thing I'd add is we do, for existing sponsors of DLL, they pay a lower price, like if they're sponsoring a majors team, they pay a lower price to get the banner than somebody who has no other, who's not a sponsor otherwise. So there's sort of slightly tiered pricing. We're still tinkering with it. But yeah, clearly we could sell like a second banner for, XYZ, but I think we want to see if we can get, if we get 36 different businesses to agree to put up their banners. I think that probably visually is the best thing. And it also is helpful to us because some of those new businesses will hopefully become theaters when some of these, some sponsors, if they decide they don't want to sponsor a majors team anymore, even though they've been a 20-year, or they sell, or the family goes away, then we have folks that we have, sort of an account with, and they can become sponsors of other things.
How much do you project you can make if you sell all 36?
Over 20, well, in the gross, we can make, the way we have it priced, about $22,000
Okay.
annually. The cost of each banner is a few $100s, so think of the first year as being close to a wash, but for the second year we had 36 banners, we would be close to it would be about $22,000 in total.
Nice.
Do you have any of the 12 that are, is everyone from last year re-upping this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a good thing too, is we feel like, you've sort of, committed to doing it for multiple years, so we think, we don't think people are gonna, the first 12 were all like existing, pretty significant sponsors, so we'll see if we get any churn in the bottom 12.
And then, so are they upping every year, or do they sign like a 5-year contract, or how is it working right now?
Right now, just to get it going, we've said it's on an annual basis, and I think over time, we'd like to maybe have a discount if you sign up for 3 years or 5 years, because we don't really want to be, once it's totally stood up, if we get, you're okay to do that, it would just be, what would be ideal is it's the same, 30 plus, and we're not doing a lot more printing, and we just have it as sort of like an annuity stream. With very little churn other than if somebody goes out of business.
Also, we'd only approved it for 1 year, so you were in a
Correct.
position to do that. Now, as we laid this out for this evening's vote and discussion, we just set for 2026, but we could certainly have a conversation about that. So do we want to go 1 more year and go to the full 36 and then see if, when it goes to 36, if there's any community issues? Or just say, what, we did it last year and it was good, and maybe go for a few years. I'm just throwing that out for discussion. Ed?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to extend, I mean, I personally would
Yeah.
rather not have the same discussion year after year, so if 3 years, to me, 3 years sounds like a good approval period, but, anything to me would be better than 1.
Yep.
Is there an aesthetic limit to this, right? The reason I say that is you go to a lot of major league ball fields today, baseball, football, whatever, and it's overwhelming, the advertising. You walk in, and I remember going 1 year to a Yankees game, and somebody hit a home run. It wasn't a home run, it was a Geico home run. And I just kind of look at that, and I think about how much time and effort the ARB spends on building aesthetics and look and feel of the town. 36 seems fine, but I'm just mindful of the aesthetics of that. At one level, kids are going out to play ball. Another level, we get a lot of advertising banners, and it's literally everywhere to try to raise money. Has there been a discussion about sort of how far you would go with this? Is this
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, as a board, this is just that you all can impose, whatever limitations you'd like to, or you think is appropriate. As a board, we said, we had the broader discussion of like, how much is too much? And I actually, initially started with the viewpoint of like, let's just try one field and see if we get pushback. But we had an idea that we would do upper and lower, but only those two and not Challenger. And then we got a bunch of feedback from the board and from people in the baseball community. Why wouldn't, that looks great, we want it in softball, and, and then the Challenger folks said, no, the Challenger kids will love having that. So we've sort of drifted in that direction now. Where we've drawn the line to date is like, you could have them along and we had a discussion about this, along the fences, like that, the circumambulate, or whatever it is, the fields. I just think that to me is where it starts to get too much. The look of and I also don't like it personally if it's like contiguous, if each one is touching the next. So having spacing, I think, is important. So those are the two things we don't, we as a board voted on: just outfield, no side fencing, and with spacing in between. We didn't specify how much or whatever, we just viewed it as just like, good taste.
Yeah, I thought it was done very tastefully, and I like the idea of keeping the bunting, separating the advertising the way you did it last year in the upper field. If you were to continue to do that with the other fields, I think it'd be a nice look.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the key to it, and it's not just McGuan, it's also what Booster Club has done at the high school. The key to the whole thing is committing to consistent colors and contiguous, and as well as spending the money with Purple Frog, who's the graphics company, which you did the right thing, which is just do the same one that Wilton did and Darien did. And before I say what I'm gonna say, let me just also, I'm a total curmudgeon as it relates to McGuan looking nice, and I thought it looked perfect. I really did. Like, and for other, frankly, Little League fields around town that have done these kind of sponsorships, they have not said that. So you've got a blue one next to a white one next to a green one, which is like makes your head hurt. And the fact, I would actually say, you could do as many as you want, because as long as you stick to that consistent color, it looks contiguous, it looks great. It doesn't surprise me there wasn't, I mean, I drive down the road now and I look at McGuan every day, and I thought it looked fantastic. And I would actually even go one further, because I'm involved with the Booster Club stuff at the high school that's going around. The economics of the banners are not insignificant. So meaning getting an additional year out of those banners,
Yeah.
like like pushing off that investment is a $22,000 swing if you can get one more year. And I am involved, like I said, I'm involved with Booster Club. It's like 1 or 2 years ahead of you on this one. And the wear on the banners is real. Like, and if you can, one thing I would suggest is, if it makes Little League another $22,000 or even $44,000 to get another year, like, one of the things I'd be interested in hearing is like, there's the wear and tear of the weather, but then there's also the wear and tear of the zip ties, and like, please be totally open with us. Like, if you can get another year out of them, I almost feel like we could leave them up in the off season and it's fine. Like, they're not an eyesore at all. And we might even think about that again. But it all, just the principle that needs to be kept is that you stay with the same vendor. They're able to produce the same color that makes it contiguous. As long as you can stick to those principles, like, I think it's worked out beautifully. And like I said, I'm a total pain in the neck as it relates to McGuan looking nice, and I thought it looked great. So.
Are they left up all 4 seasons, or they?
No, we put them up in like late March and took them down first in October, I think.
Okay.
At the high school, unrelated to Parks and Rec, but at the high school, and I'm on Booster Club as well, we ordered the exact same vinyl from the exact same vendor, and frankly, we're struggling a little bit with what the right call. They leave it up all year, but we're honestly not sure, because we're also on our first kind of time doing it, but you can tell the ones that were maybe bought 2 years apart are they don't quite look as nice when you start, but we don't honestly know, is it better to, do you get more time if you take them up and down, or do you put more stress on them by snipping those zip ties every year? And we honestly don't know the answer to that, and you should share your feedback on that.
No, you should share yours, we'll,
We don't know yet.
we'll copy your homework.
Yeah, so we'll let you know, but,
Yeah.
Jen, you better bring that up because that's,
Yes, I do think, if I recall correctly, there was also something with P and Z, we would have to look, because I think there was something that said it had to be temporary, otherwise we'd have to go through other approvals, so they had to come down at some point. So that would be another thing we just have to look at, but I believe that was.
I believe that was it,
last
that was
time.
not temporary, and was it not visible from the road?
Yeah,
Yeah. So.
it's also not an insignificant effort, but, I mean, as I didn't do McGuan, but I actually did the ones that are now up at Stadium East, it's not a small job, so to take nothing down.
Other thoughts, I mean, that is the crux, it's the, I mean, I think they look really nice, we're lucky as a town that our color is blue, I think, you know, if they were orange or something, they could have a bit of a different feeling about it, but they just kind of blend in, and you put the red, white, and blue bunting with it, and it's all kind of patriotic, and I think that looks good, but it's always that balance, that it is a park, and you want it natural, so just I'd like to hear from some of the others about the feeling about adding up to, you know, whether we want to set a limit, update the resolution in terms of setting a limit, or did we do a written agreement?
no,
No,
no, we
okay.
don't have.
So,
that.
so then we would probably need to put it into the resolution, so, Mary Louise, Chris, I know you've been involved.
To me, it seems
Yeah.
like Darren Little League is doing a very good job policing themselves in terms of how many, and if we've already come to a number of 36 with the understanding that there's bunting in between, I think we're good to go. I don't want to try and put too many restrictions on you guys. I think you're doing a great job yourself. And I would say in terms of the ads, I think if there's one thing for the kids, I think it makes it feel more like they're playing, you know, on a bigger stage, getting to have ads in the backfield and everything else like that. So I don't know. I'm in favor of it, and I'm in favor for definitely at least 3 years, if not more, but 3 if we want right now, and then we get to see you guys again.
And I'm good with this, because last year we were very purposeful in the 1 year, just because we were concerned about, you know, community feedback.
I'm inclined to go for 3 years rather than 1. I think you can end up making more money, which is important.
Yep.
And, I don't know, it just seems more consistent.
I appreciate it. I would agree.
The other piece of it that we had talked about last year was revenue share, and we never kind of buttoned that down. Jen and I had a little bit of a conversation about it, and Chris and you and I communicated about it as well, and Jen actually had sort of a different thought about how to.
Well, what I was thinking is, if we were to take a piece of it, it's gonna be a small, right, I mean, we're not talking astronomical amounts of money here, we're talking a few $1,000s. For us to try to then, if we were to just take revenue, it goes into our revenue stream. And what's the purpose, right? It
just kinda goes
it
into
just
the
goes
town
into the
general
town
fund.
general fund.
Sorry.
For us, no, that's good. For us to try to earmark it would be a much bigger issue. My thought was, I think if we just put it, that it should stay with Darien Little League, and just ask that, as you do with so many things, just that it be put into the facility. Or, you know, something along those lines, that we do it, that, and keep the money with you guys. I don't think it makes it to have to bother and go, I just think it adds a lot more red tape for something where I think you guys would be able to do it and kind of handle the, lack of terms, you know, philosophy, or the whole reason behind why we would want to do it, or why you're doing it, is to help support Darien Little League and the facility there. So that would be my suggestion.
But maybe a bit of it goes to some sort of, like, you know, capital improvement item for,
Well,
you know, whether it's a bench or
with
a.
periodic reporting to the commission as to how you spent the money.
Yeah,
Yeah. Just,
yeah.
I think that makes sense.
I would assume that's what you're doing anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, we,
Anybody
well,
in there.
it's a broader topic, but, you know, we are, and we've thought, and I think we've talked about it with this group in the past, we're at like, we're past the useful life of the actual fields in Woodlawn.
Yes.
And also Cherry, and also with the weather, it is becoming a real, the good news is we have more baseball in this town than we've ever had. We've got more travel, we've got more softball, we've got more challenger, we've got more everything. We are fully utilizing the fields we have. It gives us no ability to sort of have flexibility when there's bad weather, as there has been, particularly in the spring, and the fall has been horrible. Not this past fall, it was actually lovely, but the prior fall was just a disaster. And so having fields that can drain properly, even considering going as far as turfing, that's something that as a board, we want to take steps. We had started down that path.
We were pretty far, I think we had gone as far as going to the RTM to get the acceptance of the gift, didn't we, Adele? Yeah, I mean, and then the bid came back in and it was way more than the study indicated it was gonna be, and I think that's where everything kind of came to a grinding halt.
Right.
That was when Pam was here, and then I think she left, and just,
And we have and we couldn't get actually contractors, I think we couldn't get anybody to agree to do it. There was a bunch of issues. We wanted to tackle it, it needs to be tackled, we really can't ignore it any longer. So, you know, I don't know if we'd have this as a sinking fund, and $20,000 a year isn't gonna cover it. But that's kind of a little bit how we were thinking about it, is that it's, you know, it is a down payment on redoing the fields, which, you know, and to your point, it's all sort of fungible, right? Like, we probably, you know, we don't own the fields, Darien Little League, we use the fields, the town owns the fields. We think it's the right thing for the town to have them redone. It would have to be a joint effort. So paying you guys, 10% of this, just to come back and ask you for, you know, to participate in the rebuild, and we also would want to contribute. That just seems like, I don't know, a little bit of a waste, though, to your point. It's a broader topic, and we'll come back on that. We do have energy around it, we do have a subcommittee rolling, but we are thinking about these dollars as being sort of loosely allocated, and we can come back and report more specifically on how the money's spent.
I think it makes more sense to just keep it in that vein. By the time we, you know, a couple thousand here and trying to add it up, it does nothing on our end, but for you, you can, you know, pull it together down the road and it'll be beneficial.
that makes
I
more
think-
sense, because I think when we went, you know, to go to get the gift approval, what was it, I want to say it was like 250,000?
It was significant,
I
yeah.
Yeah.
you guys remember, but it was a very considerable amount of money that the Little League was, you know, ready to put forward towards the improvements, so.
Yeah.
And that's been historic, so I totally agree with Jen, that it costs us more than 2,000 to track the 2,000 if we're gonna get 10%. And at the end of the day, like, as long as I've been in Darien 20 years and around Little League most of that, and like, not only has McGuan been a net investment by Little League that entire time, you know, the other thing that, you know, they're, in the youth sports universe, there's a couple of leagues that do a really, really good job keeping costs down for families, and Little League is one of them. And like, that's a worthwhile investment, not to get cute at a couple $1,000 too. So.
Any other thoughts, Jim? Anybody else have any thoughts, comments, concerns?
Well, are we thinking that they would provide to us on an annual basis, like a written report? And then are we talking 3 years from last year or 3 years from now?
I would propose 3 years from now.
From down.
Okay.
So it'll be the 26, 27, and 28 seasons. Yes,
Okay.
Mary Louise?
I was going to agree with Cindy, that just like the gardens, come in, make a report as to where they stand. You would do the same thing, and you can have an ongoing report as to how much money you made, so.
I enjoy coming in here and spending time with you.
Well, also to the extent that there is feedback or something we would need to know about. Again, that was one of the questions I think we all had is, you know, what kind of comments did you get, negative or positive? So, I know we didn't hear anything in town, I certainly didn't get anything. But, you know, that's the kind of thing we could hear about and be.
Yeah, make sure you're not caught off guard.
I don't know if this time of year would be a good time, or when would you have a better sense of how many folks are signing up for this coming year?
Just about now, I would say March, like
March.
maybe it's the March meeting next year, but yeah. By then, we will have it locked and loaded.
So maybe March of every year, I guess, and then you would have the fall ball and get ready for the spring and be able to give us an update on the previous year as well.
Yep.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay, good.
All right.
Make a motion?
I think we have to fix the resolution as Jen presented it.
Yeah.
Program for so we could just cite the years, the 2026 through 2028 seasons. And then in the resolution, do we want to, reference, a maximum number of banners?
I don't think so. I think if I was to propose it, I would say Parks and Recreation approves Darien Little League continued use of sponsored banners for the next 3 years through the 2028 season with annual updates to the commission.
Second.
Nobody's good with that? Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay, awesome, thank you.
Thank you. That's easy, appreciate it.
You see it? Yeah.
And then when you, as a group, are ready to start talking about the future of the fields, then just, reach out to myself or, or Jen or through Chris.
Yeah, we will. We've got a committee, we'll come back to you. It'll probably be after the spring season.
Oh, yeah.
But also, we need to keep in mind sort of the annual capital planning budget cycle, because we're working our annual capital budgets in the sort of September to November timeframe for the following year.
Right.
So we're almost 9 months in advance.
Yeah.
So if there's any desire for the town to be paying for some of it, we've got a very long lead time. So just
Think of it like a baby.
Yeah.
I've got 4 of them, so I can do that.
Yeah, so just keep that in mind, that, we need a lot of lead time.
September, November. Okay, very good. Thank you all,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, our donation for holiday lighting, Jen? That's our pretty picture. Can you do the page number, you can just put it in, but. There we go.
So,
Nice.
So what we're looking at here is, this is a picture of Tilly Pond Park. As we were, actually, I think part of it was at our old-fashioned holiday.
It wasn't taken today.
This picture was, no, it was not. We were standing around, we were talking about it with staff, and at one day, then we saw this picture hangs in our office. And we're like, that tree is like the perfect quintessential tree, right? For holiday time. And you might recall that in the winter, we, like, around the holidays, we put lights on the eaves of the stone hut as well.
You usually put a tree in there too, don't you?
Yeah, there's a little tree, but
Like something in there,
Yeah.
like a tree.
we put a tree and a menorah in there. So, and then along the pathway, the lights, I think it's beautification, does the garland with the lights going up the light poles. So, I believe there had been a conversation with Orchard Tree Care Specialists. They do a lot of our tree work. And they actually have offered to donate their services, so their time as well as equipment. We would just provide the lights, that they would light that tree. They would put the lights up and take it down. You don't want to keep the lights up all the time because it's not good for the trees. But the thought was we could get it at least probably 2 seasons and then take it down, and they would then put them back up. As part of this, the quote was also in the packet, they would give, they would also do some pruning and tree, on that tree and do some shaping and all of that. So this would be a value of $8,200 that they are willing to donate, and our staff would assist them. They're figuring it would take probably 2 to 3 days to actually to do this. But we thought it would be a very cool idea. It would be really nice and a nice way to kind of end, at the end of Old Fashioned, turn on all, turn the lights on the tree, and it would just be pretty, and we would keep them up. We would have it set on the timer that goes with the other lights in there. And just do it for the holiday season, so probably from the Old Fashioned holiday through the beginning, January 1st or whatever it is.
Terrific idea.
So,
Hey, I love the idea. Did Orchard ask for any signage or anything else like that? No? Okay. I noticed that was missing, so.
no,
Sorry.
they
He's a
just,
local guy, nice guy.
Oh, yeah, I'm not.
so.
No, I'm just saying, he's a local guy who's always.
Because I also made the comment that, if we start this, we're, like, we can't do it 1 year and then not do it.
Where are the
Like,
lights?
It's gotta be kind of an ongoing thing, and he said, as long as I can keep climbing up there and doing the work, we're happy to do it. So, we thought it was a great idea. The commission is able to take donations up to $12,500. So we wanted to bring it so that we could start getting things.
Do we pick the light colors or just beautification?
No, we would pick it, we would just do white,
Okay.
and just,
But the town would buy the lights.
yeah. Yeah, so we're already looking at that, and then obviously they'll last for years, and we've got the power over there, so we should be able to just plug it in. But we thought, like, especially when you see this picture, I think that was one of the things too. We're looking at it, and it just stands out, and we always sit there and go, wouldn't it be nice if we had a tree in here or
Yeah.
somewhere? So,
That would be nice. About 20 years ago, we used to light the tree at Town Hall, on the hill at Town Hall. The lights are still on there, but they're all broken. But it was lit for like 10 years, I think. And it looked beautiful, because it really lit up. This will do the same thing.
yeah.
Jen, along the lines of, once you start, you can't stop printing, are you comfortable with the effort from your staff that would be involved? Like-
Yeah, and they're,
Like, they're not worried about that?
no, they're excited about it. I mean, the thing is 75 feet high, so we can't do it. Like, that's why you need an outside tree company. We don't have equipment big enough. But yeah, so the fact that they're willing to do it, and as I said, our guys would help do it. We'd probably do it in like August time, is kind of when we would put them up, when it's a little bit slower for us in between seasons. So,
Well, I really like that they'll give the trees some care at the same time.
yeah,
Because mature trees do need to be pruned and cared for.
exactly.
Thank you. Okay.
Do we have to do anything? or-
Both.
Okay.
So, I need a motion. You'll make it, Jim? Okay, second? Ed? Okay, all in favor? Great, thank you. Excellent, thank them very much on behalf of the commission. I think it's gonna be really, really lovely. It would seem as the Corbin district comes online and we have many, many more downtown residents, I would think that we're gonna see Tilly Pond is gonna be getting a lot more use because, people, for dog walking and, just,
I think it also
It's
would
our
look amazing
town
from the
park.
front,
Yeah,
just going
Yeah.
by. I think it's gonna be awesome.
especially at night.
Yeah.
There's a, well, we're talking about trees and on the holiday, there's a tree right across from Rico's. I think it might be like a World War I monument or something right there. And who's responsible for that tree? Because the lights are all over the place. It doesn't seem to be
At the
maintained.
train station?
It's a Dunkin'
Right
Yeah,
right
yeah.
across from
It's right at the
Rico's.
parking
by-
lot right there.
by
Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, it's lit up this year, it was all
It's all over.
over the place, yeah. Yeah.
I will look into that.
I don't know if it's ours or if it's a private organization that is responsible.
Is it on the
for
train
monuments,
station
maybe.
side?
It's on the train station, yeah. It's on their property.
Isn't that state property?
Is it by
I
the,
think it would be, but
bench where you
Yeah.
sit?
Yes,
Like-
right there,
Okay.
at the intersection there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's on state property, but I'm also pretty sure they don't maintain
No.
stuff like that. I'll look into that. That's a good idea. That should look sharp too, because it's.
It's right there.
It's like the Child's Book where the little house that everything gets built around it, and then there's that tiny little house. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Jen, director's report.
So we've got a lot going on. Give an update with Pear Tree Park improvements, so that is moving along. We are still, even with the snow and everything so far, we're kind of still on schedule to be completed on time. The dredging portion is complete. They've been in the process of demobilizing. The post-dredge survey will be performed once the weather breaks. They can't really do it right now with all the ice, so that will happen once they can get in there. The boat launch is partially complete. The sidewalks, well, let's see, I wrote this on February 19th. They were supposed to be completed next week, which would be this week? Last week, this week?
They look like they were, I drove by right before the snowstorm, and they looked like they were
I think
done.
they were done. They should have been, they should be complete as of today. The parking lot is about 70% complete.
You never know, looking at it, I drove by today.
I don't know. Because what they're working on right now is the sub-base. Obviously, the paving and all that is gonna be, you know, after the plants and everything open, so that'll probably be happening in late March, early April, something along those lines. Most of the drainage work is complete, with the exception of the installation with the water quality control structure. As they were going to kind of getting to the final pieces, they came across an unmapped clay pipe. So they've been trying to figure out, it is nowhere in anybody's records. We've been in talking with DPW. It didn't show on anything, so we're looking at that. I know, so we were putting in for, to have CCTV camera go in and take a look at it, in talking with Ed from DPW. We need to prove that the pipe is not in use if we're gonna try to abandon it. So they did that. I know I saw the results, the videos today. So that took place. Weston and Sampson will be reviewing all of that, and then we'll be talking with Ed once we have the report from their engineers, and so we can determine if it can be abandoned. If not, then they have to do some alternate reworking of some piping for it, because it's conflicting with the piping to the water quality control structure. So once we know that, then we'll be able to figure out how we can remediate the issue.
Did you say there was a second one they found, or am I imagining?
No, it was just one pipe. They hit it in another
Oh,
spot.
hit another spot.
And then they fixed that, and then as they got to the other piece, they realized it was the same pipe and that there might be more of an issue. So hopefully we'll know in the next week or so. I know the next building committee meeting is March 4th, next Wednesday. So hopefully we'll have some information back from Weston and Sampson by then. I don't know, but hopefully we will. We did do 2 change orders. One was for doing that CCTV inspection. So we had that was around $8,000 or so. And then the other change order that we had was for some removal and disposal of some fence. So we realized that in the bid document, it included the installation of new fence over by from the second entrance over to the end of the property by the picnic area. So there's currently fence there. In the bid documents, they forgot to put in the removal of that and the disposal. But we said we really need to make the fence all the same. I didn't want to start playing around with it. So there was another change order for that. It was a little over $2,000 for that. So those are the only change orders we've had so far. We've had very few complaints from neighbors, knock on wood. It's been going pretty smoothly, and when we have had them, Yield Industries has been very accommodating and trying to work with everybody to take care of those. So those are going well. So that's moving right along.
Yes.
Is it safe to say that given the dredging done, the boat ramp well on the places where some surprise could come up that cause change, or that we're through, like, it's like when you're taking a house apart and once you open up the wall, you're like, okay, we know what we've got, or is that
I think we're pretty,
optimistic?
I don't wanna jinx anything, but I think we're probably
Okay.
through the biggest part. Something that might happen with the piping.
Right.
You know, we are partially through the boat launch, the launch ramp. But I would think most of the drainage work is done. So, you know, most of it now is kind of just regrading and the asphalt for the parking lot. So I think like to say, I think that the biggest issues are probably been connected. The only thing is we do need to make sure that there hasn't been any issues with sort of the boat club, you know, any damage or anything that's happened to the pilings or any of that stuff. So again, some of that we won't be able to see until the weather subsides a little bit and they go back out there. So just to make sure, that's probably the one area where I would see the biggest chance of anything. So I think we've done pretty good, even with the change in how the dredge material was being disposed of. You know, they were able to do it at the same price, so that we didn't get hit with anything for that, so that was good.
Yeah, one thing to add, I met with the boat club Commodore leadership a week before last. One of the things they mentioned was that the boat club boat season opens May 2nd. And I said, this parking lot, this project is not going to be done until Memorial Day. So you guys need to think about what happens between May 2nd and Memorial Day, because a lot of people are putting their boats in the water, might want to use the ramp, might want to access the boat club, even if they can't park there, say if they get a ride, something like that. So I asked them to coordinate with the building committee, and they should speak to you as well, and just say, look, this is when our season starts. This is what we might expect. Is there any way that the project can be configured or staged in such a way that there could be access, for example, to the boat ramp and to the club itself on May 2nd, as opposed to waiting to Memorial Day for there to be any access at all? So they may call you, if not, you know, we can.
And I think the plan was for the beginning of May, so it might not be as bad of a difficult of a situation, because I think they're actually shooting for a couple weeks before.
Super.
Mid-April, so that if there was a little bit of leeway.
Great.
So hopefully we'll be able to accommodate, but I'll keep an eye out for that.
One thing we chatted about this before, we should be working on with the boat club though, is really assuring that their members who are using the boat ramp or launching their boats are actually buying stickers to do so. Because we don't have security checking for stickers until May 31st, when pretty much everybody has their boat launched. So.
The next big project is our dredging projects. So both of these are currently before EPC for the permits. So one of the things, actually, I will share. So as part of the permit process, they are requiring planting plans. So we're being required to install
So can you just, like, why is, like a Tilly pond, we're going in, we're just taking muck out of the pond, can you make that leap for me in terms of?
Well, I'll try. I'm having a hard time. You know, as we said, it's a maintenance project for the dredging of the ponds. Part of the way I understand it is part of their issue is they want to improve the water quality going in, improve runoff situation, and improve the wetland areas around the ponds. So this is part of basically any pond dredging project. And I was told, well, we can't treat the town differently than anybody else. So,
But so Tilly Pond Park has wetlands, or is it because they have jurisdiction over?
well, I think it's
ponds?
because anything around it, I mean, you're within kind of a buffer. It's not
They want
wetlands,
to
but they
take
want
a
it.
look to see if any of the dredging affects either surrounding wetlands, inland waterways, anything like that. And just because they have jurisdiction over that, they just want to come in and take a look. So, I'm talking to members of the commission, they're huge fans of dredging. This will pass,
Right.
but they want to take a look. So I wouldn't worry about this not passing. This is a great investment. It's just as a jurisdictional matter.
I'm not worried about it not passing as much as it's this sort of incremental cost that we hadn't budgeted for, because I guess we weren't aware that as part of dredging the ponds, that we would be required to add planting material, so
Right.
I'm trying to understand what.
Like, where's the money gonna come from?
So, some of this, we may be able to fund, this dollar amount, I think we'll be able to fund out of the capital, from the budget that we got for the pond dredging and the bid price, we do have some leeway. So obviously, I had to pay, I paid out of those budgets for these plans to be done, they were done by ELS. You know, obviously a professional firm that the town has used before, or is familiar with. So the cost for this came out of the capital budget that we already had. Based on what I was being told for this, we may be able to also pay for the plantings for this project. I'll show you the one for Cherry Lawn, that's a whole different story, but we'll focus on Tilly first. So basically what this is it's only focused on this one end of the pond. Part of it is also to, they were also focusing with a lot of geese end up in this kind of area, down in this spot that's between the two ponds. So also by putting stuff in there, it will make it a little bit more difficult for them to go in and out of the water, which hopefully may deter them a little bit. But, so there's a planting of a number of trees, and then mostly they're like little grasses and things like that. So, this is what they're calling to be put in. Again, as John said, this is going before, on March 4th. They'll be voting. I believe this is gonna be a condition of their, well, in both cases, there'll be a condition of the permits, but this will be reviewed with Rick Talamelli. He's been involved in this and seeing these to make sure that we're meeting the needs of what they think we're gonna need. So obviously, again, it's natives, it's kind of deer tolerant plants. So this will be part of that. Tilly will be voted on. They separated the two, they didn't do them at the same time. So the first one is Tilly. The idea is this will get the permit on the 4th. So theoretically, the 5th, we'll have the permit, and then we'll be able to get in and start this project right away. So that's where we are with Tilly. With Cherry Lawn, because they separated, that one is another month behind. So they will be discussing it at the March 4th meeting. So,
They would want the plantings down by the pond at Cherry Lawn, is that what you're talking about?
so with Cherry Lawn, so the way the EPC does these meetings is they have The first meeting, they just accept the application. The second meeting, they have a discussion about the application. The third meeting, they vote on it. So for Tilly, we're at the third, March 4th is the third meeting. They'll vote. We should be all set with that planting plan as a condition. For Cherry Lawn, the February meeting, they accepted the application. They will be discussing it on March 4th. At the April 8th meeting, they would be voting on it. So as part of that discussion, they'll be able to discuss this planting plan, which was put together. So you'll see this has significantly more plantings, and what you may recall is this is the wetland area that got cleared out before I started. There has been, I guess, a bunch of invasives and people went in, so this is all wetland. This whole area here is wetland, and they have been
Where's the where are the 3 tennis courts?
right up here.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
This is where the bridge is, right?
This is the little
bridge.
bridge to the island
Okay.
is here.
Oh, okay,
This
The dock is
here,
right up there.
this is the little dock.
gotcha.
So they want to put these couple plants in, and this is all the restoration of that wetland area. And they're requiring that as part of this because we knew we would have to do this at some point. So
That's where the big solar panel is?
the solar panel is like in here somewhere. So it's planting more trees. This becomes like a meadow, like meadow grass that gets mowed down annually. Then here, this is a path that gets mowed on a regular basis to get you to the benches and takes you out. As part of this, it also includes some removal of other invasives in here. There-
So it's gonna be tall grass?
It's gonna be meadow grass, so it'll grow up. It's not like mowed lawn, because they want in the wetlands. And there's a whole list
Is it gonna be buggy?
of the plants.
It's the same type of grass that we,
It's, yeah,
right? I mean,
I don't think it's necessarily buggy.
We have wetlands, have parks, don't you?
So that's the plant list. So again, there's some river birch, rhododendron, sweet bay magnolia, winterberry. So then the ground covers are blue flag iris, cinnamon fern, foxedge. So that's what will be planted there. This is a higher cost value, of course, because there's a lot more going in.
About how much?
The issue, I was told the estimate just for the plant materials is $10,000 to $12,000 for this one. For Tilly, it's about 5 to 6.
And the labor.
Right, so then there's labor on top of it. This one, so we would have to, I spoke with Sandy, he doesn't think that we'd be able to do this, there's so much involved with it. But the issue is, the bigger issue is, because we're only gonna get a permit in April, it's gonna be too busy in that park for us to do the dredging. So the dredging is gonna have to happen in the fall. So we would do that like as things slow down, probably October-ish. In the fall, October, November, everything sits in deep waters. As soon as the weather breaks in like March, we can take that out. So the plantings won't happen till the following fall, which then allows us to put that into our capital budget. So for the fiscal '28 budget. So we would include the plant materials as well as the labor and everything for this. As I said, there was more funds available in the Tilly one, so I think we can probably take care of that out of the current capital budget that we had. If not, we'll have to find a little bit somewhere to get those plantings done. Because they'll start the dredging and we will do the plantings for Tilly this fall. we would do that this fall.
Not spring.
No. We don't want to be planting any of this stuff in the spring for water, they'll, better chance of survival and less watering and things like that that we'll have to do, so we would do it in the fall.
Will the contractor hold their price for
Yep,
cherry
he's been involved in this the whole time, he's been the one going to EPC, so he's involved, so he's on board. So wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, these plans, I actually just got one of them today. And cherry plum we just got at the end of last week, I think it was Thursday or something like that I got. So we'll keep proceeding, but we don't really have a choice, we have to do the plan, so they're making it a condition, so we'll take care of that. So that's where we are with the pond dredging. In terms of budget, as was mentioned, it went through the Board of Selectmen. The only changes that had been made by the town administrator were some adjustments to salary lines, which happened because of our staffing changes. And then there was the removal of the V-blade that was out of the capital, which was for snow removal, which I guess we could use. We do have equipment, we can use it, but, so the next step, as was mentioned earlier, will be with the Board of Finance on March 17th. And I know in between then, I'll be talking to the RTM Parks and Rec Committee March 11th, right? Yeah. So that's moving forward. Our winter registration is down a little bit. Again, it comes back to, I believe, the decrease in paddle lessons in play. So, and as people are moving to indoor pickleball, and as we talked about last meeting, Cadell is also starting to take off around here. We've also had some competition with the YMCA's indoor soccer program, and then our wrestling program, there's a change in the coach, the high school wrestling coach, so we're trying to get started up with them. So we've got a program going, but I think it'll take a little bit to kind of get them, get that back up to the levels that we were at. Again, our paddle tennis revenue is up slightly over this time last year by about $1,000, and we're seeing that usage is back to about pre-COVID levels. Again, we're seeing a lot weeknights and weekends, and where we're seeing the drop makes sense, it's the weekday, daytime, mornings and things like this. So as more and more people are going back to the office or having flights, that's where we're really seeing the difference. So Court 6 is still being used, because we still have that need on the evenings and on weekends. Again, we've been adding different programs as we go along, which were not in the brochure, and they're doing well. As we had camp registration, which was held on February 11th. As I mentioned, we staggered the registration time. People seemed to like that. They were happy with that. It did seem to help and alleviate some of the pressure. We've also we took out a whole lot of the questions as they would register, to help speed up the process and make it easier. And then we just have a follow-up Google document that everyone's filling out with that information. So we're still getting the information that we need, but it helps to speed up and streamline that process a little bit. Everything is full, and we do have wait lists on most of the camps, so we're trying to determine ways that we can maybe take some more kids, take them off the wait list. I know we've had different issues coming up, and we have been pulling people off wait lists, but we're gonna try to see if we can expand. We are limited by how much space we have at schools and things like that, but we are actively working on that, so hopefully we'll be able to make a few more children happy and give them a place to go. I do want to give a shout out to Dawn Ray, who is one of our part-time secretaries in our office. So with Cassie's vacancy, she stepped up and actually basically did the bulk, if not all, of the brochure, putting it together for us. So that was something that is not within her her job duties, but she really helped out and did that, so it came out, it looks good. You know, and as was asking earlier, that went out. Today was actually the first day of registration. Seemed to go fairly smoothly, even with all the snow and issues. We were debating, oh my gosh, if there's gonna be a delay, what do we do? Do we push the stuff back? But, seemed to be pretty smooth. We did have our Sweetheart Dance on February 6th. And that, Lexi, one of our new people, has, took care of that. She oversaw that. That was sold out, went well. Another good thing is our kayak paddleboard storage. We are adding a rack, so we are able to fit another 15 vessels that we'll be able to accommodate. So we'll end up with 105 spots at Weed Beach and 60 at Pear Tree. That lottery will take place on March 11th, so residents have until March 9th to register for that. And the bulk of our lifeguards are coming back, which is great, so we'll probably, I was talking with Jim about it, we'll probably see some decent amount of turnover probably next year. But 20, it's up, I had said 18 in my report, and we're now up to 20 of them are actually, 20 out of 24 are coming back. So that's great. Camp staff, Lexi is overseeing camp. She's interviewing everybody that we were asking back. So she's going through doing interviews now, and then again, if people are interested, the application is up on the website. So anybody who's interested in being a camp counselor, feel free to go and apply. We will be looking for people. The other big news that we have staff-wise is our newest new employee, Isaiah Ismani. He theoretically started on Monday. He got a snow day on his first day, threw things off a little bit, but actually it was funny because I hadn't even thought about it, so I didn't even have his number. I had to reach out to HR and say, do you have his number so I can tell him, because he wouldn't know how to find out. So he started in the office on Tuesday. We're excited to have him. He's going to be handling, he's filling Cassie's role, so he'll be doing a lot of events and other programming, pickleball, and all that. So I think between the two of them, Lexi and Isaiah, they'll end up being a good team. They're kind of starting to get to know each other a little bit, and Lexi's interested in events as well, so we're going to coordinate things, and so it should be good. He'll also be working on sponsorships and things like that. So as I mentioned to Lori before, my plan is I have invited them to come to the March meeting to introduce them to you guys, and you can get to meet them. In terms of facilities, unfortunately, we've been doing a lot of snow removal. So that's kind of been taking up a lot of time. Again, our routine stuff with the swim buoys, the lifeguard chairs, those are complete. Last night I told you that we were painting the interior of the paddle hut. That is complete. And they've been working on the winter servicing of the equipment. As I said, the construction of the kayak rack, so they're in the process of that. And then we're also, if you recall, we had money set aside in the operating budget for some tree maintenance, park specific, for Tilly. So that is actually in process and underway. So trying to do a real focus on that, pruning up, crowning, doing all that, kind of taking out the dead wood and stuff. So we're trying to hit one kind of focus, one park each year. So this year is Tilly. So that work has started. And then just lastly, we do have a parks maintainer position open, and that is also on the website, and it's up through March 1st. So if anyone is interested or knows anyone that's interested, they should go on and apply.
Thank you. Questions for Jen? Adele? Yeah.
Just, can I, that maintainer position, that's a full-time.
The parks maintainer is a full-time position. Yeah, we had
That's what I thought.
yeah, we had a retirement and then a promotion to fill that retirement spot, so it's now to fill that.
Another question, just moving back to Pear Tree. Is there any problems with flooding since that happens in the winter down at Pear Tree?
No one has said
I was
anything.
thinking last
specific.
week, I was
With the
really
storm,
holding my
because
fingers.
we're talking about the flood.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, no one has said anything to me yet. I do have another call, on Tuesday, so I'll know better on Tuesday. But no one said anything to me, so I would think that if it was something major, I would have heard about it.
Thank you.
Yep.
One other quick question about, back to Pear Tree, is the grills. They're gonna all be replaced, right?
Yes,
Am I gonna have the same amount of grills, or are we gonna?
I believe it was 3, I think, are going in.
Oh, okay, so that would be less than what's in there now, I think. I think there's like 5.
There's like 5, yeah.
Are there?
I believe so.
I
It's
feel like
they're
there are.
scattered
I'm not gonna
throughout.
swear to it, but I feel like there's more than 3.
I think it was, I'd have to go back and look. I believe it was 3 were in what was in the plan.
Okay.
Um,
But the same kind of grills, where you put the charcoal in and then you put the. okay.
Yep, and they'll all match, ADA accessible.
And all new furniture? Same furniture.
No, it's new, there's new tables are part of it. I don't recall how many, but there are new tables that go on that patio as well.
So nice.
It's really nice. Yep. Any other questions for Jen? Just a few things. We had Operations Planning Committee yesterday. As usual, just highlight things that somehow tie into us. I mentioned last month with John that he's filling 2 committees, sidewalks and conservations, and you said that you've got a lot of applications in, so now you'll be going towards actually forming those groups and getting them going once your selections are made. And it's also committing with the charter ordinance review of all the boards and the commissions to tighten up the language. One question I had that I thought about after the meeting is, as you're drafting up language, for instance, for Park and Rec, will you or whoever's be coming to us and saying,
Absolutely.
either we think yours is fine, or we'd recommend these changes,
Yeah, I don't
things like that?
envision any changes to major boards and commissions, so Parks and Rec, planning, elected boards like planning, zoning, board of selectmen, that sort of thing. This really is meant to tighten up, and I don't mean this pejoratively, but sort of lesser boards, advisory boards, that sort of thing. We've got a lot of overlap and confusion.
It was mentioned that our budget is proceeding through with the next meeting with the Board of Finance on March 17th. Certainly, if you want to mark your calendars, it's always good just to have representatives of the commission there, just showing the support for, the department and the work that we do and, the money that we're looking for. Jen and I will certainly be there. Planning and zoning is moving along with the conservation and development. They hope to have it finished in about 2 months. There are a series of meetings going on now, and that time period they review a chapter or 2 at each meeting. They're having discussions just between themselves, and we'll go back with revisions. And then hopefully kind of end of April to have a draft of the whole thing. Then it will be in a 2-month public comment period. So that is when I asked about this of Jeremy yesterday. We would have access to sort of the draft of the sections that relate to Parks and Rec. You remember we met with Jeremy back 6 months ago or whatever, and would be able to put back any comments that we might have or changes that we're thinking of. So they're aiming end of April, so possibly our May meeting. I remember that, Jen. That would be an item that we would want to have read those sections and come in and have a discussion about that. And then there also will be a public hearing, and we're hoping to get that done before the real height of summer. So that will require our attention later on this spring. And The only thing I wanted to mention, if any of you are on the TV 79, newsletters and such, that Jim Cameron sent out, he's had a few notes in the last weeks about, there's a Cura hearing coming up about the possibility of changing how TV 78 and 79 work now. You can just turn on your TV if you're Optimum customer and just watch, live or the recordings, and that would all be mushed with all of Fairfield County or broader area. And Jim has been asking that if people would like to see TV 78 and 79 stay, they are to send in letters. I think those are due by the end of the week. John, I know you sent one, I sent one, my husband separately sent one, but I don't know if you guys get that information. Do you get Jim's newsletters? If not, I can forward the email he sent. I think it's the end of the week they're due, I think the end of February. If you like, just having that format of being able to just flip on 79, watch the selectmen's meeting from, the comfort of your home. I know I used to do it sometimes when, say they're just talking about Great Island, I'm like, well, I won't necessarily go all the way to town hall for all of this, and you can just turn it on and see the section you want to see, and then move on. So I will forward that all out to you guys.
Great, thank you.
Let's see. Letter. That is all I had. John, do you have anything else?
No, the Pura issue is odd because what they purport to do is to come in and make good on an actual requirement that communities have access to what they call community programming, which is done through a separate channel. They just want to enhance that and regionalize that. But as we know through the first acquisition of the Darien Times, what happens is they end up regionalizing that content. And the president of Nutmeg TV has claimed that they're not going to do that, but they haven't quite put that explicitly in writing, okay? Which means that prospectively what would happen to Channel 79 is what happened to the Darien Times, which is you open up the Darien Times and look at the front page and there's not a single article about Darien.
I cited that in my letter.
And I understand the newspaper business is under pressure and they're doing the best they can, and I don't mean to be overly critical, but I also don't want to read about all these other places. And so I'm the first selectman, I've been subscribed to Darien Times in years. And so we risk that happening with TV 79. If it does, all is not lost, because keep in mind that there is YouTube and there's the Darien TV website. So going forward, you would still be able to access Darien-only programming through those media. We're just talking about the TV station itself. A lot of older residents rely on the TV station as opposed to one of the websites for access to Darien community programming. And the worry is that if they do regionalize it like we suspect they will, they'll turn on TV 79, it could be a Board of Finance meeting for Milton. And I think the reaction is going to be the same as what we got with the Darien Times, which nobody has time for that, and that they'll just stop watching. So I think for younger people to migrate to websites, that'll be great, but for older residents who might not be inclined to do so, that's not good either. So all of us have submitted letters in opposition to that. The Nutmeg president has pushed back, trying to claim that. It is not as we purport in our letters, but absent a clear written commitment from the company that they are not doing that, I don't buy it. So here we are. So more to come.
Yeah, when I wrote my letter, I effectively gave the example was that, years being on Parks and Rec, we had the paper, a reporter would come, they would, very often I would get a phone call after the fact asking, like, can you make a comment, can you clarify that, we'd like to do a feature story. Remember they did the feature story on invasives?
Right.
And helped do an educational piece. They said then it went to them just kind of watching our meetings in, after the fact, and basically putting a summary out. And I said, now, they don't even cover what's going on in Parks and Rec. I said, we have a major capital project going on, and there's been zero coverage, so.
Or
You
explain.
can see that same
The
progression.
superintendent told me today, he said, because I had said that in all my time in government, I've had a few questions, but I've never been interviewed by the Darien Times. But, okay, I'm not nobody. But I mentioned that superintendent, he says, no, he says, I got a call I said, really? What did they say? They said, well, they wanted my comments on the snowstorm. And I said, well, did you tell them it was, really snowy? Well, I haven't talked to them yet. So anyway, but that's the kind of questions you're getting. Again, nobody has time for this. It's silly.
Yeah, I mean, they used to call me the Darien Times Edit pretty frequently. I mean, I knew the reporter and it was very regular contact, and that just doesn't exist anymore. And I think for the, I don't have school-age children now, but for the parents, again, when Board of Ed meetings are going on live and there's things going on, well, these are people with school-age children, so by definition, going to a meeting may be difficult, but if they can be supervising homework and then watching it in real time and know what's going on. So.
Well, Jim Cameron and I had lunch in January, and this is a topic of discussion, which is we just don't have news coverage in town.
We don't.
And that's not good for anybody, even for me. It's better that somebody in my job, you get challenged with difficult questions and, hey, what about this? It just sharpens things up. And so that's part of the reason that we launched the Ask the First Selectman series. So what happens when I record those, he'll tell me what the topics are, but he won't tell me what the questions are. I have to answer them live with no prep, and that's it. I have no input to the content that actually gets produced. And, I kind of prefer it that way. And so to the extent anybody's watching those, I encourage you to submit difficult questions, and I will answer them. And if I flub it up, then that's on me. But that's important to have that type of institution in town. And so we're trying to create it ourselves, absent media coming in and doing it for us. And so that's just an example of what we're trying to do. But I don't know of any other way to get news out. So that's what we're doing.
Okay, so I'll get that out, I'll forward it to you, and then Jim, I think just it's a link in there to give you the address and how to handle it, so if you are supportive, then, or not, I suppose you could send a letter too, but if you guys consider doing that, it would, I think, be a good thing.
Agreed.
Because 79 has been a really great partner for us. That is all I have. Anybody have anything else for good of the order? No? Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Chris, Mary Louise second, and all in favor? Here we go. Thank you, TV 79.